many times have you been asked, tell me a little about yourself in interviews? I figure many, right? So most people don't know exactly what to answer. They kind of feel awkward about it. So today I'm gonna give you some tips on how to leverage this question to show more about yourself and how great a candidate you are. So stay tuned. Most people answer the same thing. So think about it. When in an interview or whatever, when you are talking in a meeting or when you are introducing yourself to a bunch of people and you are asked, tell me a little about yourself. Think about what you're saying. I've made many mistakes with that. I started saying that, oh, I am an EFL instructor, and I started with what I do. But actually, this question is asked for a reason. Almost every interview asks it. I say almost because I've heard of one or two that they don't say that, but mostly they do. Now, they ask you this question and you have the opportunity to say how great you are as a candidate for that position. But most of all, it is to build initial rapport. This is the key thing. You don't know the interviewer, you're getting to know the interviewer is getting to know you. So you have to start with something that is going to make a connection. And that connection is not what is in your CV. They want to know what kind of person you are and if you are going to fit there in that environment. And for that, you have to show what? Your human side. So I've seen many blogs and videos talking about how to answer this question. There are a bunch of people giving different kinds of tutorials, but there are conflicting tips, okay? You don't have to believe what I say, but think with me. What is the bottom line here? When we are being interviewed, what do we want here? We want a connection. That's it. And from this human connection, you move on. So how do we answer this question? So first of all, again, keep it human. Tell a story, use something that is part of your childhood or you growing up or an experience you've had. Could be anything. Just to give you an example, I helped a student of mine to apply for an internship program, and it was her second internship program. She had one before. And when I asked her just to role play, tell me a little about yourself, she started talking about her experience in the previous internship program. But you see, as an intern, you don't have much experience, right? How much experience can you have? You're learning. So what we changed in her answer, we made it real. We made it something human. So she shared an experience she had, a frustration she had as a kid, not being able to study English because she's not a native speaker and private courses are expensive and her parents couldn't afford it. So in order to be able to study, she got some books from school, etc. But one of her friends' mother was an English teacher. So she started talking to her, asking some tips on how to study, maybe materials. And when she's telling that story, she's giving the interviewer some skills. She is resourceful. She worked with the tools she had. She tried to find solutions to her problem. This is number one. Number two, the interviewer had a similar background and immediately identified with my student. She understood the struggles and the challenges because she herself had been through that. So you see, of course, my student was hired was accepted in the internship program, and later, so funny, the interviewer told her that what convinced her was that story. You see that one thing that you say, one simple experience you share with the interviewer can change the whole dynamic. When you prepare your answer, I suggest you list the skills that you want to show the interviewer. So my student wanted to show that she was resourceful and resilient. So we found in her life a story that would show that without having to say those adjectives. Like I said in my video, and you can see that in my playlist, don't use adjectives. Just give examples, and then the interviewer is going to be able to see those skills in real life experience. So another point, don't read your interviewer. During the interview, you can feel how your interviewer is reacting to your answers. Right? So if you are, for example, this happened to me once. I was interviewing for a position as a teacher in a school for kids. And I was telling her my experience with kids and how much I liked kids. But there was a moment she looked bored. She kind of glanced to her phone and she glanced to the watch. So I said, okay, so I have to make it short. Or in that case, I made it short and I piqued her interest. I piqued her interest by telling her an interesting experience I had teaching a kid once. And when I started telling her that, I had her full attention. So it is very important for you to see if you are getting the attention you expect. If you are not, change the strategy, maybe change the pace, be more concise. So you have to be resourceful during the interview. But preparation is key, right? It is key. So if the job position requires certain specific soft skills and you've got them, choose a story that is going to show those skills clearly without having to use adjectives, right? Now, let me give you some examples. Common answers. I'm a recent graduate with a degree in marketing. Well, I don't need to know that because I already have your resume. So that's not what I want from you, right? Look, the improved version. Growing up, helping run my family bakery taught me resilience and teamwork. You are transforming your answer into something that is relatable. Okay? Another one. I'm hardworking, motivated, and a quick learner. Adjective, adjectives, adjectives. Remember, avoid adjectives. I enjoy challenges and working in teams. I mean, just because you like it doesn't make you a good team player. I mean, I like working with teams, but I'm not a good team player. I mean, it doesn't give you anything. Look, on the other hand, facing daily challenges taught me to adapt and solve problems. This experience honed my communication skills and customer focus. So let me tell you my experience. When I was hired to work for for a school, and they wanted someone to coordinate the teachers, and they wanted someone with good communication skills. I told them this, my background as being Japanese descendant, the fact that at home my parents and my grandparents spoke Japanese, and I went to a school and I spoke Portuguese there. At home it was Japanese, and I was learning English in the afternoon. So what I realized by learning several languages is that there are many ways to communicate, and I could pick and choose the best strategies. And I'll tell you what, in Japanese, for example, Japanese, we are very formal. So being formal helped me to learn how to use different languages, and so I can communicate in different levels. English taught me how to be more objective, concise, on point. And Portuguese, my Brazilian Portuguese, my native language, has taught me how to be soft when I speak. So when I told them the story of how challenging it was for a kid to be speaking a language at home, speaking another at school, and learning a third one, but in the end I learned all that, I was hired. And that was the story that they told me that convinced me, I convinced them I was the perfect candidate. So you see that there are ways of doing that in an interesting manner, because the point is to keep your interviewer interested in you. Do you know how many people they have to sit for interviews? Many. And they all answer the same thing. You have to be the one that they remember so that you can move through the stages. I hope that helped. If you want more content like that, subscribe, click on the like, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.